What's going on, everyone, from LowKick MMA? My name is Dan Podolsky. I'm joined with Kyle Nelson. He is fresh off his win over Blake Builder in Canada, and he's set to return to the octagon on September 16th at UFC Noche when he takes on Fernando Padilla. Kyle, thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on.
And just first off, how's training been going and how's fight camp going?
It's going great. I fought June 10th against Blake Builder at UFC Vancouver, and then basically rolled right back into the next training camp. So it's not a lot of time off, but I didn't no injuries from the last fight. So we're able to just kind of keep building on the training camp.
And I remember the last time we talked before you fought Blake Builder, you mentioned how you had wanted to be more active. You took 2 years off after you fought Billy Quarantillo. This will now be your third fight already, and it's only September. How nice is it for you to have actually been able to live up to that and be super active in 2023?
It's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. It's kind of what I've been asking the UFC for my whole career. And yeah, now that it's happening, it's great. It's easier for me to keep my weight down, to stay in the training camp and stuff. So yeah, I'm super excited, and hopefully, we can pick up another one, quickly after this one as well.
I was gonna say, are you hoping to get, if all goes well and you beat Padilla, come out uninjured, are you hoping to get a fourth fight this year?
So I was thinking about it, but it sounds like, in rumor mill, sounds like the UFC might be coming to Canada in January. So again, I think it'd still be, kind of perfect timeline to turn around. And yeah, like I'd like to fight in December as well, but if Toronto's on the table, then I don't mind waiting a little bit.
And you've that's obviously super important to you is fighting your hometown. Where are you hearing that it's going back to Canada?
So just like the podcasts, I'd heard like at my last fight they were planning to come back. They didn't really have any specific dates or venues and stuff. But yeah, just kind of like all the podcasts I've been doing. People have mentioned January for Toronto, and then yeah, just like all over social media and stuff seems to be the rumor right now. So nothing solid yet, but who knows? Maybe I'll hear something September 16th while I'm down there.
And when you look back on your last fight, Blake Builder was an undefeated prospect. It's in, not your home city, but your home country, Canada, the fans behind you. How special was that for you to go in as the underdog in your home country and just put a beating on Blake Builder?
Yeah, I mean, it was a dream come true. It was everything that I've been working towards, my entire MMA career. So, everything is kind of, falling in line now. I mean, we hit some road bumps in the beginning of my UFC career, kind of getting, accustomed to competing in the UFC and the opponents and stuff. But now that we have, everything dialed in, I'm starting to be able to showcase some of my skills and what I'm capable of.
Yeah, and like how much confidence does that give you? You're coming off a win now. It had been a while. You took 2 years off after the Billy Q fight. The fight with Duho Choi could have gone either way. It turns out to be a draw. But that was like a clear-cut Kyle Nelson victory. How much of like a jolt of confidence does that give you going forward to be like, okay, you know what? A little bit of a rough start record-wise at the start of my UFC career. Now I'm in the win column. Now I can get going.
Yeah, exactly. And, we're just going to keep building on that momentum. Again, I've only gotten better since the Blake Builder fight. He was, he had a lot of hype behind him, undefeated coming into the UFC. And I think it's going to be the same with Fernando. Again, he's not undefeated, but a ton of hype behind him. People are I think I'm the underdog again. A lot of people are picking Fernando. So, I'm excited to, kind of run over this hype train as well.
Have you gone to watch any of the previous footage on Fernando Padilla? What stands out to you and what gives you the advantage over him?
Yeah, so I watched his fight against Julian Erosa. I know Julian pretty well. I've trained with him lots in Las Vegas, and I actually was down and trained with him during this training camp at Extreme Couture. So his boxing. I mean, he's a taller, longer guy, so he likes to use that range. And then his jiu-jitsu off of his back are kind of his. What he's best at is that boxing and the jiu-jitsu. But again, like my boxing is more my Muay Thai. I mean, my boxing is great as well, but I think I have better kicks, knees, elbows, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Again, he's one of his highlights would be his jiu-jitsu, but I've been training jiu-jitsu for 18 years now, and I think my wrestling's a lot better than Fernando's. So I think on the ground, and then my ground and pound and stuff is much better. So I think if it does go to the ground, it'll be, by my choice. I don't think he's gonna be able to take me down or anything like that. So if I decide I want to take him down, that option's there for me. my submission defense, I think, is going to be way too good, especially with, how my cardio, my strength and conditioning is now. And then, as far as it goes on the feet, again, my Muay Thai versus his boxing, he might be a little bit longer, but I mean, I've fought guys like Jai Herbert. I've trained with, taller guys like one of my training partners, Mike Malott. He's like 6'1" also. So I mean, there's nothing he's going to bring to the table that I haven't seen before, not only in my career but in training as well.
And you talked about this will be the second straight fight where you're an underdog. Your last fight you were around a plus 200 against Blake Builder and you beat him. This time it's about the same line. You're around plus 200 right now against Fernando Padilla. Do you really relish that kind of role of being the underdog and kind of doubting all the critics?
I don't really pay too much attention of it. Where I'm at with my career in the UFC, I don't think the bookies and stuff in Las Vegas are spending a bunch of time actually watching my tape. You know, they may know one or two things, or they may look up the stats from my UFC career, and maybe see a couple of those losses and stuff like that. But I know that doesn't represent me or define me as a fighter at all. I think anybody that's watched my career, before the UFC, my last fight and stuff like that, they'd, probably, say something different about the betting lines, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm not really a betting man. So I'm just going to go in there and do my job. And that's going to be to, knock out Fernando on September 16th.
And, as opposed to your last fight where you're the hometown guy in Canada, this time it's the UFC's Noche card. It's in America, but they're building it around the Mexican fighters. Fernando Padilla, obviously from Mexico. How much are you kind of taking that in of like, okay, I now have to go back to being not really the enemy, but like you're kind of in enemy territory in a way?
Yeah, and I mean, most of my UFC career has been like that. I've fought in Mexico against the Mexican before, and that went really well for me. I mean, the crowd wasn't super excited when I walked out, but I won them all over, after the fight. So I'm expecting, something similar. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a majority kind of Mexican crowd in Las Vegas, but it won't be as, um, it's not literally his hometown. I know they've made it around the, Noche, UFC Noche and stuff. So I am expecting, a big Mexican presence, but it can't be any bigger than actual Mexico City. So, I've been there, done that. So it's going to be nothing new.
And for you, you've gone to travel a lot throughout your UFC career. You've gone to the UK, you've gone to Mexico, your hometown Canada all the time. You've been to Vegas at the Apex, but this is your first time at the T-Mobile Arena. First of all, how do those places compare to each other? And second of all, how excited are you to actually get to fight in Vegas and not just at the Apex, but at the home center of the UFC at T-Mobile Arena?
Yeah, I mean, Vegas is basically the fight capital of the world, especially for mixed martial arts. So, I got to fight obviously at the Apex, which was a cool because that was a different dynamic without the crowd. But I'm definitely looking forward to, being able to walk out in front of those thousands and thousands of people at the T-Mobile Arena. Again, I'm assuming not all of them are going to be cheering for me because it is, the Mexican card, but I'm still excited to walk out to that crowd.
And for you, you're a coach at Muskoka Martial Arts. You're training at House of Champions MMA. How's that been going? And who have been your main partners for this fight?
Yeah, I mean it's been going great. Running my own gym adds its own kind of challenges and stuff, but it also gives me an opportunity to sit back and kind of build training plans and find different ways to explain different moves and break down a lot of the basics and stuff. So while I'm doing that, I'm also getting better at some of the skill sets for jiu-jitsu and wrestling and kickboxing. So that's been a whole new kind of benefit that I didn't anticipate. And then, yeah, I mean, again, training here at House of Champions, Niagara Top Team with guys like Mike Malott, Aaron Jeffrey out of Bellator, Josh Hill out of Bellator, Romero out of the PFL. So I think, where I'm at here in kind of Southern Ontario was kind of the hotbed right now for, high level mixed martial arts athletes. And I get to, train with them, pretty much every day.
Yeah, certainly. It's been a great time for Canadian MMA. It really feels like it's kind of that next wave, and it's not just in the UFC too. It's going to Bellator with guys like Aaron Jeffrey and PFL. Olivier Aubin Mercier. I hope I said that name right. And Anthony Romero. There's just a lot of Canadian talent that's on the rise. And then going back to the card that you're fighting on, headliners Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso. Who do you have in that fight?
I'm leaning towards Shevchenko. I think she's just not going to throw the spinning back kick, and I think that was what made all the difference in the first fight. We saw some of the behind the scenes, where Alexa Grasso was specifically training to sidestep that back kick and take the back. So leading up to that point, I had Valentina winning. So I think as long as she kind of sticks with her basics, doesn't really throw the spinning stuff, I think we'll probably see her kind of outstrike Grasso and win by decision.
And then looking at your division, Alexander Volkanovski just beat Yair Rodriguez. He looked incredible in that fight. Who do you think he fights next? Do you think it's going to be Ilia Topuria? How do you think that fight would turn out for him?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Ilia Topuria. I think Volkanovski is going to find a way to win. Ilia's got a lot of power in his hands as well, good boxing, kickboxing. But I think Volk's going to work around that, find his ways. We might even see him, maybe take Ilia down a little bit to grind him out and land some ground and pound. Yeah, I definitely see Volk, retaining the title.
And for someone like yourself who's on the rise in the division, how quickly are you hoping to get, a top 15 opponent going forward if you keep racking up the wins? And at what point do you see yourself being able to get into that title picture?
Yeah, so I mean, the next fight, we finish this, September 16th. Maybe take a week off or something, and then get right back into training camp for hopefully January. And I mean, I'd love to fight somebody like Cub Swanson, somebody with a name. He's obviously a little higher ranked than me, so I think that would be kind of what would kind of propel me, up the rankings a little bit. And it'd be a fun fight for me. Cub Swanson just fought Hakeem, pretty controversial decision, so I could, get that one back for Canada and start to climb the ranks.
Is that a potential call out after this fight, or you're not the guy to get on the mic like that?
We'll see. We'll see what happens. If the moment hits me, when I'm got the mic there, we'll see what happens.
I think that'd be a fantastic fight, Kyle Nelson, Cub Swanson. Anyways, Kyle, I'm wishing you the best of luck. And just my final question, September 16th, Kyle Nelson, Fernando Padilla. Kyle, give me your official prediction.
I'm gonna go with late first round. We'll call it a TKO. Might be a knockout, but I'll go with TKO.
Fair enough. Well, Kyle, I'm wishing you the best of luck. If there are any socials or teammates you want to shout out, go ahead. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Instagram, the Monster 705 _ UFC, Twitter or X, the _ Monster, Facebook, Kyle the Monster Nelson, and then thanks to all my friends and family, my fiance, and then if you're in Ontario, you can also check out the new Fight Camp Light Lager by yours truly. So you can order that anywhere in Ontario. And you can enjoy a beer while you watch me fight September 16th.
I'll have to try it.
Awesome.
Of course. Kyle, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm wishing you the best of luck. Guys, Kyle the Monster Nelson returns to the UFC Octagon on September 16th at UFC Noche. He takes on Fernando Padilla. You won't want to miss it. Kyle, thank you so much for taking the time. Best of luck to you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.